Hey guys, stay-patient here. Now I have to apologise for the fact that I'm not going to be on the webcam today. I'm actually feeling rather unwell, but I didn't want to sort of skip the video altogether and leave you guys hanging, so I figured we'd do a brief summary of some of the games that have been added on psnprofiles.com, and I will make up for this tomorrow because I actually have the second episode of the How to Be a Trophy Hunter series ready to go. I was going to wait until the end of the week before activating it on YouTube, but just to make up for today's video, I'll get it up and running for you guys tomorrow. It's actually been on Patreon for a couple of days now. Those guys have been giving me some feedback on it, which is helpful. So if you are interested in getting early access to some of my content, which is a new reward that's been added on Patreon, then check out the page that's linked in the description. But the first thing I wanted to point out is the fact that Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, which is the non-platinum VR title that we looked at, I think last week, this actually has a sort of work-in-progress trophy guide being put up by Craig. Now it's not completed yet, but he gives it a 1 out of 10, so it is easy as I predicted last week, and nice and quick as well, 3 to 4 hours, no platinum as we mentioned, and it at least gives you a decent idea of what's required for the trophies. Even if it's not finished yet, you can at least see which ones you need to keep an eye out for, and he's got some helpful videos here as well. So thank you to Craig for that, if you're looking for a fun VR title to play with your headset. Now, one of the biggest pieces of news this week was regarding Nier Automata, which a lot of you will be aware of already. This game looks a lot of fun. It's Platinum Games teaming up with Square Enix, so you've got like the action aspect, but also some RPG elements as well. But the news that I was referring to is the fact that some of the trophies can be bought in the game. So there are apparently 20 trophies that are story related or related to 3 different endings in the game, and you have to earn them legitimately. So you play through the game, earn all the story related trophies, and you have to do that 3 times to earn the 3 different endings. You don't have to play on any particular difficulty as far as I'm aware, so you can just play through 3 different times, getting the 3 endings, and then you can move on to this step, which has been outlined by Harry94. Now obviously he wasn't necessarily the person to discover this. There's been articles up on different websites throughout the week, but Harry has kindly pointed out how this works and which trophies you can actually buy. He says you can buy trophies 20 through 47 from an NPC. So you need to do a few things before you can do this. You have to complete the game 3 times. So before you can start buying trophies, you do have to finish those 3 playthroughs and earn these 3 different endings, because those trophies can't be purchased. And then you need to have at least 1,000,000 gil, which is the in-game currency. And of course, as he mentioned, you can back up your save if you want to keep hold of that money and not waste it on the trophies. But he explains basically what I mentioned a moment ago. The first 20 trophies on the list cannot be bought. This consists of the story-related ones, which you'll already have, and the 3 ending ones. The rest can be bought. Talk to the following NPC in the Resistance camp and you can access a trophy shop. Now all the trophies that are available to buy are basically miscellaneous ones. They're ones that you can earn during your playthrough, and everyone has a different reaction to this. There's a lot of kind of negative feedback. People don't like this idea, and I do agree that I hope it doesn't open the floodgates to this being a regular feature in lots of games. But when I looked through the trophy list, it didn't look like there was really anything particularly challenging, which is odd for a Platinum Games title. You know, they often put up very difficult trophies and you need to complete the games on the highest settings and things like that, but I don't think you need to this time. Most of the trophies are just ones that involve maybe side content, you know, little like NPCs that you meet and do favors for, or completing side quests, or maybe collectibles, things like that. Maybe different ways of killing enemies. They're all very much miscellaneous trophies. So for me, although I do kind of agree with everyone who's getting really annoyed at this, at the same time, I quite enjoy sometimes being able to just sit back and relax and enjoy a game without worrying about the trophies. So this is a game that, you know, is quite different to what I normally play, but I am interested in trying it out, and I'm glad to see that there aren't any super tough trophies. And I find that if you're able to play a game without having to keep all the trophies in mind and constantly having to check the requirements and checking your progress and everything like that, it can make the game more enjoyable, more relaxing, and it just makes the whole process a lot more chilled. So I'm quite excited for this. I'm quite glad that they're doing it, at least as a kind of one-off. I hope it doesn't become a habit. But because there aren't really any heavily skill-based trophies, I don't think it's such a big deal. You know, there are a lot of trophies these days that involve earning a certain amount of money in a game, or buying certain items from vendors, and that's basically what this is. The only difference is that the trophies have other requirements as well. So if the description of the trophy said, either kill this number of enemies in this way, or buy this item from a vendor, then people probably wouldn't care so much. But it's just the way it's worded, you know, the idea of buying trophies makes it sound worse than it is. Of course, if the trophies were heavily skill-based, then it would kind of nullify the effort that people had put in. But I'm okay with this as a one-off. I think I'm okay with it. It's quite a new idea, so I don't really know exactly how I feel yet. But it's definitely interesting, and I think I'm going to pick this one up and see which trophies I can earn naturally, but have that cushion of knowing that I don't really need to stress about the trophies too much, because I can pick up any that I miss at the end. I would be interested in hearing your guys' feedback on that, how you feel about it. If we carry on up through the list though, I'm just going to kind of pick and choose a few of these games that I have watched the trailers for, just in the interest of making my job a bit easier today, because I am feeling a bit ill. I'm not going to be sharing any trailers, unfortunately. I apologise for that. But I'm just going to point out some of these. Berserk and the Band of the Hawk is a game by Tecmo. Is it Koei Tecmo or something? I never know how to pronounce their name. It's Koei. Maybe it is just Koei Tecmo, I don't know, but it's very typical of their development style. You can tell from the graphics that it's from the developers of Dead or Alive. You can tell from the gameplay style that it's from the developers of Dynasty Warriors and things like that. It's very much a Dynasty Warriors style game, but a lot more over the top and kind of gory. You're basically just hacking your way through massive armies of enemies. Death Squared actually looks really interesting. It's a puzzle game. It has 2 stacking lists here. And if we just take a quick look at the trophies, you play basically on sort of square areas made up of blocks like this. And there are some, sticking up a bit higher that create sort of cover and things like that. And basically, the gameplay that I saw, there was sort of some kind of item shooting out a laser on the outside, and that's what you were in control of, and your block was linked to the laser and you used it to move the block around. But when you're playing in 4-player, there are some 4-player party modes. If your laser crosses the path of one of your friends or teammates, then it destroys them, and you need to get all of the blocks into different places. And you need to kind of figure out which ones need to move first so that you can get them all in place without any of the lasers destroying any of the blocks. It's one that I recommend you checking out some gameplay. It looks quite interesting and it will make more sense when you see it being played. But there are single player modes as well, and it's very much a puzzle game basically. It looks very interesting. It's probably going to be one of those games that's easier to complete if you are able to follow a guide. And depending on if I get a chance to play it, I might actually put a guide together myself, if it's easy enough to do so. The trophies here, you've got some for dying a bunch of times, you've got some for completing the story here, and then you've got the party mode, so you need to finish the party mode, which isn't you versus your friends, it's basically 4-player co-op, and you need to finish all the levels. And then you've got one here for completing 9 levels in a row without dying, dying 50 times in a level. A lot of them are just very easy that you could just bang out at any time. Skip the intro. Find the secret items. That might be a case of, taking a bit of time out to search for them or waiting for a guide or whatever. Then there are some miscellaneous ones here. Make all 4 players dance at the same time and die at the same time. Very easy ones, So it looks like it could be an easy plat. I mean, there aren't really any that will be kind of missable or that will cause any problems. The only one that involves getting through some of the levels at least without dying at all is this one here. But obviously you could sort of go back once you've done the first 9 levels, go back and start again and do them again once you know what's required. But yeah, it looks like quite an easy and fun list. I mean, it looks like a tricky game, but some games can be difficult games to play, but the trophies themselves can be easy, if that makes sense. So I think it's going to be one of those. It might be quite challenging figuring out the actual puzzles themselves, but it doesn't matter if you fail, apart from that one trophy for the 9 levels without failing. Once you've got that trophy out of the way, then it doesn't really matter how long you take to figure out a puzzle. Eventually you're going to get it, and the trophies themselves are nice and straightforward. And as we mentioned, it does have 2 stacking lists here. So once you've done it once, you'll probably find the second playthrough a lot easier and a lot quicker. Shift Happens looks kind of interesting. It's a 2D platformer. I haven't actually looked at the trophies yet, but you play these 2 characters here, and you can sort of shift the sizes between each one, if that makes sense. So at the moment, the blue one's big and the red one's small, but then you can shift that so that the red one grows and the blue one shrinks. And you use that to be able to sort of weigh down switches and stuff, because you're controlling both of them, making your way through levels. You can either do it solo, or you can play online, or I think probably couch co-op. It looks like it might be relatively enjoyable. We've got to finish the lab, single player and multiplayer. Bonus coins here, or finish with 75 coins and bonus object. It looks... Oh, okay, so these are all the same. They're all repeating sort of patterns of trophies. So you've got the laboratory, sorry, the forest, the canyon, grotto, and then all the levels. So this is like combined. Once you earn all those trophies, you'll get these as well. And then we've got a few miscellaneous ones here, quite a few. I don't think any of them look too difficult. Yeah, I think they're just kind of fun ones to throw in just to kind of make you aware of some of the things you can do in the game. Oh, we have got here time challenges. Okay, so if you don't like, beating time-related trophies, speed runs, that's the one, then this might not be the game for you. But it looks kind of interesting. Nothing overly special, but it might be fun. Now, of course, we have Horizon Zero Dawn, which is the next really big release. We're not going to go too much into it now because I did put a video up this week looking specifically at Horizon's trophies. So what I'll do is I'll link that video in the top right hand corner of the screen now, and you can check that out if you like. But just suffice to say that it does look relatively easy and nothing overly missable apart from maybe one trophy, which requires you to, let's have a look. It requires you to reach the final defense sequence, which I'm guessing is like the final battle with all of your allies. So given Aloy's actions, all possible optional allies join the defense. So as you play through, depending on what actions you take, you can motivate other allies to join you in the fight, and you need to make sure that all of them do join you. So that's the one main trophy that you're going to want to keep in mind throughout your whole playthrough. The rest of it looks very much like a typical open world list, and it looks to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Now, some people have been asking if I'll be making guides for Horizon. I probably won't, to be honest, because there'll be lots of other much bigger channels making guides for the game. So mine will be kind of unnecessary, really. I know you guys enjoy my guides, but I think my time would be better spent on the quick, easy platinums that don't have many guides already related to them. A lot of those games, do have guides, but they're from people who don't commentate. They don't add commentary to their videos. So I think that's why some of my guides do quite well, because I'm doing them for those quick plats and I'm adding commentary, which makes them easier to follow. But if I was to put up guides for Horizon, they'd just get lost amongst all the other channels like PS4 Trophies and Power Picks and Harry94. All those big channels will kind of drown mine out. So it would be kind of a bit of a waste of time, I think. If we keep going though, there are a few more games here. We've got The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. This is a top-down RPG, similar kind of view angle as games like Diablo and stuff like that. Steel Combat. This looks to be probably a shmup, a bullet hell shmup game. The trophies look very similar to the ones from Under Defeat on PS3. It was a Japanese game, and I couldn't really find any information on this particular one, which is why I'm kind of guessing here. But the trophies themselves basically involve finishing very hard mode with, with every single character or every single ship in the game. You need to do very hard with all 8, and you need to do hard with all 8, and then these are the same 8 characters, but just clearing single player, so you'll automatically earn them. Now, I don't know if the very hard and hard trophies stack, but we'll find out soon, obviously. The Under Defeat game wasn't too difficult, but there was a cheat in it, I think. If you played the game for a certain number of hours, it opened up some cheats and you could turn on infinite lives, you know, or like infinite continues or whatever it was. It wasn't a cheat, it was just the ability to have the maximum number of continues. So if this is from the same developers, which it could well be, then maybe they've got the same feature. And if they do, then it will be an easy platinum. But if they don't, then it might be very difficult, because completing these types of games on very hard, you know, without the ability to restart as many times as you need to, that can be tricky, because they tend to be real tough cookies to crack. Let's keep looking here, though. We've got this game, Dying Reborn. Now there's 3 lists here. One of them is the VR list, which doesn't have a platinum, unfortunately. The other 2 are stacking lists, like from the non-VR version. Now it doesn't look too difficult. It's basically like a psychological horror sort of puzzle game. You need to acquire all the memos, so there's collectibles, you need to finish all the sections, watch all the TVs, unlocked all the password puzzles. So it's very much a case of finding everything in the game, really. And then the rest of these, there's really like just one miscellaneous trophy for each section, and they all look fairly easy. Use the piano to play a certain tune, open lockers, open a bar, refrigerator. I'm not sure if you need to go through certain steps to make these possible, but I don't think they're going to be too tricky. And the rest of these are pretty much ones you'll learn automatically. So this looks pretty straightforward if you're into this kind of thing, and there's 2 platinums available, as well as a VR version with, you know, just a few trophies here. We've got Grimm Legends, The Forsaken Bride. This is another game from the developers. What are they called again? I do have them open here. Artifex Mundi. Now these are the guys that made Clockwork Tales of Glass and Ink, and also the Ghosts of Maple Creek. I forget the name of it, the game that was added fairly recently. It seems like they've got quite a few games on Steam from, you know, the past few years, and they're just bringing them all to PS4 in quite quick succession. So this is good news for trophy hunters. You know, this is another sort of hidden item puzzle game that's probably only going to take a couple of hours or so. Very similar trophy set, you know, as the other ones. I haven't looked through it in great detail, but I'm sure it's going to be another straightforward one. So this is definitely one to keep an eye on, guys. Grimm Legends, The Forsaken Bride. And the final game I was going to mention, is there any others? Not really, actually. Elliot Quest, that's just a 2D sort of platformer / RPG style game, like typical 8-bit graphics and everything. There's a lot of those types of games around at the moment. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. I apologise that it's been just a brief kind of video and I've not been particularly energetic or anything. But like I say, I'm not feeling too great, so I'm going to rest up, make sure I can get back to fighting form for the rest of the week. Hopefully you guys will join me for the second episode of How to Be a Trophy Hunter tomorrow. Thanks very much for watching and all the support as usual, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon. Cheers.